you guys already know that I'm pretty much all in Tesla. 100% of my entire stock portfolio is in Tesla. In other words, going all in. Now, a lot of people are saying that I'm all in Tesla. I don't have any other investments. That's not true. I have properties, rental properties. I have few businesses. It's not like everything is bet on this one thing. In my stocks, yes, 100% is all Tesla. Pretty much I sold everything. The last thing I sold was Amazon to buy Tesla. And I added some today too. I didn't post it on X, but I did add some today as well. So my conviction, the reason why Pejjy, why are you going all in Tesla stock? Well, my conviction towards Tesla stock has never been this strong before. I started to invest in the company in early 2020. And I was fortunate because I bought in that right before. Yeah, it spiked, then the COVID went down, then it went again. I was right a little bit after it started going up. That's when I started to buy it. And ever since then, I mean, I think I got lucky. Who knows? But I've been always interested in Tesla. It's a company that I've been eyeing since like 2015, but I was too scared to invest in it back then because of, bankruptcy and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't until they actually were cash flow positive, I'm like, okay, it's time to get involved in Tesla stock. It's just the potential of this company is huge. And then when I looked and sat down what this company is really truly trying to do, not just their EVs. Yes, transition to sustainable energy is one thing, but their autonomy business was absolutely great. When I sat down and I saw how this thing can actually scale up and take the company to essentially becoming the world's most valuable company, now that Elon is confirming that, and other people are confirming this as well. Just looking at autonomy alone, forget the humanoid robots. Like, I didn't care about the humanoid robots when I got into Tesla. I just cared about the autonomy. That's it. The EV parts is awesome if it helps autonomy in the long run, but when you got robotaxis, like dedicated vehicles just for robotaxis, and then you got the current fleet, what is it, 6 million right now? Maybe 7 million by end of the year. Actually, probably more than that, 7.5 million by end of the year for sure. Let's say 10% of that all of a sudden can just become robotaxis, like 700,000 of them. I mean, that's crazy. And then when you just scale it, the numbers become just more crazier and crazier. And so when I was sitting down doing the valuation for this, I came up with 3 pillars when this full self-driving thing, when Tesla solves it. One is all the vehicles that Tesla has, one over-the-air update, boom, they can get their full self-drive. Second is the dedicated robotaxi, like the Waymo's kind of thing, a vehicle for their own fleet for robotaxis. That's another, which is a massive business. And the third is licensing. I mean, it's funny when we see Volkswagen buying into Rivian for doing software. I don't know what kind of software upgrades or software they want to develop software. That's what they want to do, which is just stupid because Tesla has the best software in town. Just use theirs. It's just ridiculous. But the licensing part, yeah, that part is even massive. So the 3 pillars, it's like once this full self-driving thing is like solved, which is pretty close, you unlock these 3 pillars. And these pillars have tremendous just potential growth for Tesla that can catapult it to like the world's most valuable company in the trillions. And when I saw this and I saw the numbers, I'm just like, I can't really sit by the sidelines, in my opinion, a risk not to be involved in the company. So that was my conviction. And it's even stronger today than back then. And that's the reason why I went all in. Not about the bots, not about the energy, not about the EVs. The EVs were cool. That's how I knew about Tesla. But then the main thing is autonomy. Hey, if humanoid robot can 5x what autonomy is going to do, well then so be it. That's going to be a sheesh moment. But that's my conviction. All right, there we go. There's one request. Who's requesting? Tommy. All right, let's go. All right, Tommy, you can speak.
Hi, what's up, bud? How are you? What brought me in to Tesla for me was back in 2018. I purchased my first Tesla. It was a Model X. And that excitement of me just driving the car was like, wow, this is like game changer. And I actually was one of the first full self-drive, not first, but I had full self-driving on there. In the beginning, I thought, okay, the guy told me and I purchased the car, full self-driving will be solved in probably about a year or two. Well, that was, many years ago. But the advancements it's made over the last year or two is unreal. And that keeps my drive going for me, at least. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't say long-term, but started investing in 2018 and here I am today, still averaging a little bit.
Wow, yeah, that's a sheesh moment. You know what's crazy? I have never tried full self-driving before.
It takes a little bit to get used to. It does. I love it. I have the Cybertruck now, and when I purchased the Cybertruck, it's still not available. For the last, 6 years, I've been using full self-driving like 90% of the time, just getting used to it, growing into it, loving the advancements of it, noticing every little detail. Every time I got an update, there was something new. I'm like, yes, this is great. I missed that. I'm hopefully, Elon said 12.5 will be the version for us. I can't wait to get back into, full self-driving for me. I can't wait.
Yeah, congrats on that Cybertruck. I see that on your profile pic right there. It's a black looking one. That looks sleek.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, man. I just got it wrapped. And did a little bit of yellow calipers to the wheels. It looks amazing, man. It's awesome. I love it. Well worth the
Dude,
wait.
wow. No, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's a pretty strong conviction that you've been holding since when you said 2015?
2018, actually. I
Oh,
got it in
2018.
2018.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my year. I
So
didn't
that
know
was
what I
a
was
good
holding.
time.
I had no idea what I was really getting into. I love the stock. I love it. And then, in 2019, this just started really blowing up. I was like, wow, what do I have here? It was great. It
Oh,
was a great ride.
no, no, yeah, that was probably the best time. 2018, 2019 was the best times to get in. So congrats. Nice, man.
Yeah,
That's nice.
appreciate it, man. Thank you, man. Thank
Yeah,
you for,
thanks.
allowing me this is my first space as well. So
Nice.
thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. No problem. Anytime, anytime.
All right, man. Nice to meet you guys.
Ryan, you want to go ahead and?
Yeah. Hey, Pejjy, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
So I just had a question for you. So I don't know if this was stupid or what, but I'm happy with where I'm at now. 3 months ago, I found you on Twitter, X, sorry, and I went all in on Tesla. I sold most of my stuff. I mean, I don't have a massive share. I only have like 58 shares, but I started buying, this was like 2.5 months ago. So I'm at like 180 average cost, I think. And I'm at the point where every time I put in money in my Robinhood, I want to like diversify and expand. And I just end up buying more Tesla. And I wanted to know, like, I know you're fully in, but would you ever look at another stock? Cause there's stuff like Palantir that I'm really curious about, but I don't even know where to start on analyzing the stock. Or what would you say is the best way to kind of get familiar with the company to the point where maybe you'd want to put money into it?
Okay, thanks for that. So, diversification. So, let me answer that first question first. So, when I bought the stock in 2020, I promised myself that this is going to be either a 10-year investment if it does not, 10 or 20x. However, if it does 10 or 20x, within like, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, or any time before then, I would probably think about, moving, potentially buying other stocks as well, because there are some good stocks out there to buy. Like, for example, one that I've been eyeing since for the longest time was Chipotle. And when we look at Chipotle returns today, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it's done incredible. Palantir has done incredible just recently, but there's so many other stocks that, like, for example, Nvidia was one that I really wanted to buy, especially in the 2022 or was it? Yeah, it was 2020. Yeah, end of 2022, beginning of 2023, when the stock was, price adjusted back for 10 for 1. It was what, like $12 or something? Because I knew that company had potential, but I'm just like, I got to stick with what I know. And I know Tesla. There's definitely a lot of companies that I would like to invest in, but because I do so much research on Tesla, I have so much conviction in Tesla. And, just when I look at the long term of it, I'm just like, there's just no other company that's going to be like Tesla. It's just, yeah, it's a long game. It's, you are delaying your gratification, but that's what investing is all about. And when you do more research on a company, it's hard to look at other companies. You know what I mean? Unless you're, willing to seeing what other opportunities are out there and willing to take that risk, I guess. But when I look at Tesla, earlier when I mentioned the space about the autonomy and about, well, just the autonomy really. And now we got the boss, which that thing is just insane. So I would only diversify if, for example, the stock goes above 1,000, and I would think about maybe pulling back some. I would probably, invest in other stocks, or maybe if I don't want to have the headache of doing the research, I would just, get the S&P 500 or something. But until 1,000, I am not selling a single share. That's my
Okay.
that's my rule. But regarding Palantir, to be honest, I was pretty confused and just didn't know how to value the company 3-4 years ago. But now looking at it now, even today, I really don't know how to. Tommy, I think your dog is going crazy back there.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, but well, I was going to step in about the Palantir because I've been a long-term Palantir
Oh,
guy
perfect. There you
myself. Yeah, I've been holding it for a couple of years. And again, I think it's got a really clear path for both companies. Balance sheets are amazing, zero debt basically, and the growth potential of both companies, right?
go. Yeah.
Palantir, as you know, is more of a B2B type service right now, but you know, my understanding they're about to bring out a B2C product that's in the pipeline. So I'm excited as well for Palantir. It's my other sleeper.
Yeah, I think Palantir definitely is a sleeper. And I definitely believe one of my beliefs, and I could be wrong, is that the more chaotic the world gets, the more, I mean, it's a bad thing, but I mean, if you want to be capitalistic about it, the more chaotic the world gets, for example, when you look at geopoliticals and stuff like that with China and Russia, all that thing, Palantir benefits more because now you have governments
Absolutely.
now you have governments all around the world going like, yo, we want to be cutting edge. We don't want to,
Correct.
the reason why you see Ukraine winning and you see Israel doing all that stuff to Hamas and stuff like that, part of it, I would say maybe majority of it is because of Palantir looking at them, giving them intelligence of what to do, what not to do. And that's very powerful when you're, talking about geopolitics and you see China threatening for Taiwan. And by the way, this on the record, I don't think China will invade Taiwan. I think China will invade Russia. I know that sounds crazy, but I do believe that. I do believe that China will. Well, I don't know when,
I
but
don't think they're gonna. I don't think China would invade Taiwan either. What I think they would do is something similar to what happened in when China took over Hong Kong. Is they changed the rules instead of invading. They basically use police officers to arrest everybody, and they
yeah,
could possibly do the same thing over there.
Oh wow.
yeah. But the problem, the thing with Taiwan is that it's an island, and so they have to get to
Right.
there first. And getting there, I heard a lot of fortifications.
Yeah.
Getting.
There's kill switches and
Oh yeah.
everything, set up on other chip factories as well. So it's gonna be
Exactly. So it's too much of a risk. It's too much for a risk for China's economy, and China's economy is very, very fragile. They don't want to deal with it right now. And if they do such a thing, I mean, then you'll have the whole world against China, cutting their oil supplies and their food supplies. And
correct.
so I don't think it's a risk. That's why I say it's more likely that China will
Yeah.
look into Russia because they do have a disputed land. China has a disputed land with Russia, going like, hey, this land is mine that you took, in World War II, and we want that land back. And since you're weak now, maybe we're thinking about it,
The possibility is still there. Yeah,
Yeah,
the possibility is there.
yeah. And so with
Yeah, and the other day, I was just gonna say, the other day I bought into Palantir, like it was 23, I think, and I was stoked. I had done all my research. Well, not all of it, but I had done a bunch of research. I was stoked, and then Tesla started jumping after the vote. And I was like, I got emotional about it. And I was like, I want to go all in before it hits 200. So I just started getting right back into Tesla. I sold all the Palantir I had and all the Starbucks I had. But part of me just wants to like maybe 1/5 of the money that I put into the brokerage, like maybe instead of putting it all into Tesla, which is kind of what I just find myself doing, but find maybe one other like sleeper like Palantir to put some into. But I feel like before it hits 200 and starts going up, I just want to get as much as I can. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, well, be careful with the emotions, man. Those things are dangerous.
I know, I know. Well, thanks for letting me ask my questions. Love spaces. Don't want to take up the time, but
yeah, no worries, no worries.
Thanks, Pejjy.
Anytime, man, anytime. I would say regarding Palantir, I think it's a good long-term hedge. As Tommy mentioned, they're now entering the consumer spaces or the consumer bases, which is pretty big because now you have a whole, a whole massive TAM, that's a whole different market that now, a whole pool market now you can enter. That being said, I do see Palantir as a nice hedge for the future. I do think this thing can soar up. I'm not too sure if this will become a $1 billion company. I could be wrong. Oh, sorry, $1 trillion company, depending how bad the world gets. But what is it right now sitting like 50 billion? Yeah, I think it has room to go to, half a trillion. I do believe that, based on the numbers and how they're growing and everything. I think they can do that. Not financial advice, by the way, guys, but like I can see that company 10xing easily. Now with Tesla, I just had my thought. I just went out of my mind. Just be careful. It may reach 200. It may go back down to 180. Nobody knows. One thing I do know is that the uncertainty and the unpredictability of Tesla has diminished pretty much. Because if you guys remember with the vote, it was all like, oh, Elon's gonna leave. I was one of the guys that saying he's not gonna leave, even though if it doesn't get doesn't get approved, the compensation thing. But the fear was real. The fear was absolutely crazy, and that's when I bought a lot of shares too, because gonna be greedy when others are fearful, right? But that uncertainty is gone. Now people can now relax and go like, okay, now we know that Elon's not going to leave. He's in it. He's more motivated than ever. The company has already moved to Texas. And I don't know if you guys watched my video that I made 2 days ago, how pretty much Delaware's checkmated. They can't really do anything.
Yeah, that video was great.
Yeah.
That video was
Yeah.
great. I was cracking up the whole time.
Yeah, I was so happy because it's just like when I sat down and realized it, and I'm just like, this is it. I mean, the worst thing that can happen, the worst absolute thing that can happen now is the judge disapproves it. Okay, fine, you gotta disapprove it. Well, then rip Delaware court and, all these businesses that want to do business with you in Delaware. You're done. No one's gonna think about you. They'll think twice. I don't think they'll even think twice. Now it's in Texas. We can re-ratify the compensation in Texas, probably with the new compensation package. And that's it. It's simple. And when you look at it, it's just like, Elon Musk and Tesla shareholders have won. It's hilarious. And the reputation of this court is down the toilet. Whether they accept it or not, it's flipping awesome, man. When you look at it and you connect the dots, it was an awesome moment. So yeah, that's why the stock's going up now. And I do think Q1 was the bottoming for the operating margin. I think Q2 is going to be a whole lot better because we do have higher sales in vehicle. We also have obviously energy's coming in nicely. And I think I am predicting, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 6% or 7% operating margin percentage for Q2. And if that happens, that's great. And then I do reckon Q3 there'll be more deliveries and energy will continue to come. And hopefully Tesla does add in their FSD revenue, software revenue and profits into their income statement, because that'll really help me with the predicting and doing the analysis on that. And I honestly think it just gets better from here. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe there could be a black swan happening or something down the line that nobody knows, nobody will ever see. I do think that we are going to be entering the second half of 2024 is going to be a whole lot better than the first half of 2024. My price target's 350 for end of this year. I know that it's a stretch, but hey, I'm sticking to it and I ain't changing. Now, someone wants to speak here as well. Let me get you on.
I wanted to mention one thing about new investors getting also into Tesla. What I've accumulated, I'm not bragging here, a couple thousand shares of Tesla. And what helped me is zooming out, understanding, not looking at the day-to-day price action, really just dollar cost averaging, okay? And having like a conviction into the stock. Dollar cost average, don't YOLO, just dollar cost average. You're going to look back and you got a few hundred shares. That'd be my advice for new stock investors for Tesla. It's a very volatile stock. It snaps, it rubber bands. It'll consolidate, shoot up, and then it can come back down again and shoots back up. So it's not like a steady hill all the way up at all. You'll notice with that stuff.
Yeah. I think that, when we look at the chart of Tesla, it always jumps, then it comes back down 50% or so. And then it, consolidates for a very, very long time until something snaps. Usually it snaps up. And when it snaps up, it roars. And here's the thing with Tesla stock. When it roars, man. The FOMO gets real. People, it's awesome. When something goes that high, obviously things need to always come back, things need to come back to reality. And in 2021, when the stock Tesla reached like 414, I'm just like, this has gone way too far. I'm not going to buy anymore. And I only started accumulating Tesla stock when it went below like 300. And the more it went down, the more aggressive I got. And when it reached like 101, that crazy stock low price in 2022, yeah. I just dumped my whole entire savings into it, and I'm just like, okay,
wow. Yeah,
I did, and that was the best time. And that was like, I'm like,
I remember when you did it. I remember.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, you definitely. It was a nice dip. I did purchase a little bit more, but I didn't YOLO into it. I wish I would have done it, but built out my position. I said, okay, here's my goal. I want to build out this many shares after a long period of time. Now I've done that for me. I've never sold a share. I've accumulated, and now it's given me the opportunity to really start looking at Palantir, NVIDIA, other Apple, things like that, where I'm starting to slowly build out positions there. The weight of my shares are ridiculous. Like, wow, you have a lot of Tesla shares and a few.
Yeah, but that's the game, though, right? You have to somehow make a whole chunk of cash in order for you to make these other investments, right? So
Right.
that's how it is. And
dollar cost average. Yeah, I think that's the best. Who cares about the price action? So I learned from an influencer, Tom Nash. He does a lot of stuff about it too.
Yeah.
He talks about if the stock dips below 20% of its 52-week high, if you really want to do it right, double down on your DCA, and then once you get back in that 20%, and just average from there. That's been my success for me for a lot of my new holdings.
Yeah,
works really well.
Well, thanks, Tommy. Thanks for that insight, because that is a good bit that I need. I'm 19, so that's something I need to just keep remembering those big
Yeah,
Bro, you
man.
Pejjy
got time, man. You got
helicopters.
time.
If I could do it all over again, I'm teaching my kids to live on half their income and
That's what
invest
I'm
the other
doing.
half.
I'm
Yeah,
You know,
living on like, to be honest, like 25% right now because
that's amazing.
I'm
Keep on
so
doing
high on
that.
Tesla, and I'm
Stay
in the
disciplined.
military, so I don't have much expenses. I'm on deployment,
Discipline.
and I'm like, I mean, they're paying for everything.
No, stay disciplined with that. You will thank yourself later.
All right, well, thanks, Tommy. Thanks, Pejjy. I'm sure
my
somebody else
pleasure.
has a good question. So,
Yeah. So I know Gagan has been waiting for a while. Sorry, Cyber. I will get to you after Gagan. So Gagan, go ahead. What you got?
Hi, first of all, thanks for Pejjy. Whatever content you create, it's really appreciated, and it helps us to make more understanding for Tesla. Like it's very detailed one. So I have few question. One is like for Tesla stock. Right? So I was going through the ARK investment. Right, it's like they are giving the Robotaxi almost the revenue 600 billion in 2029. Right, but the thing is like when I start exploring the data, right, I was not able to digest this number because even if I compare with the Uber, right, which is a 40 billion revenue, right, which is one of well-known taxi business, right. So can you just give us like some insight if you have, or otherwise like in future you can make video on this? Hope the question is clear. Sorry, I was a little long.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So yeah, ARK with their 600 at the bear case, they were saying 600. Oh, I think it was base case $600 billion for our robotaxi revenue by 2029. And your question is you look at Uber and why it's not? Well, here's the thing. Here's the mistake you're doing. You're looking at Uber. Uber is limited. That's the problem. The thing with Tesla is scale, right? Tesla can, once they have, let's say in 10 years time, 100 million vehicles on the road, you could enable, and full self-driving is good to go, and it looks like it's, looking to be the case. Give it a couple years. I think we'll have, self-driving cars everywhere. The thing with Uber is, I'm not going to lie, it is expensive. Now, with robotaxis, you're going to be getting a whole lot cheaper to the point that now you'll have a choice. Do you want to own a car or do you want to be with a robotaxi? Because the cost of a robotaxi pretty much eliminates car ownership. It gets crazy. So when people look at this and they look at the financials, they go, okay, why do I have to pay $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for a car when I can just use a robotaxi and probably pay, $5,000 or $10,000 or maybe half the price or even 1/3 of the price of a car a year? Personally, for me, if the robotaxi is 1/3 of an actual car, I will probably not buy a car. I will go with a robotaxi. Now imagine this scaled. You're eliminating people buying vehicles because it's cheaper to go with a robotaxi. And in order to do that, you have to have a lot of robotaxis on the road. Meaning that ARK's prediction by 2029 having 600 billion in revenue is they're predicting that there's going to be a lot of robotaxis on the road that's Teslas. Now this could mean it's the robotaxi from Tesla themselves, the dedicated robotaxi, the Cybercab, which we're going to see in like 40 days, plus the fleet, people who have Teslas added to the fleet. It's going to be these guys, but on mass scale, everywhere. China, US, Europe has to be part of it too, right? Middle East. I know Dubai, they're getting ready for that. In South Korea, a lot of cities there, they're building the new infrastructures that they're building in South Korea. They're purposely building it in a way for autonomous driving. It's absolutely crazy. So that's what they mean by 600 billion. So I hope I answered your question.
No, I totally agree. I think now I get more insight, like more value. So yeah, I totally agree because it's not apple to apple comparison, but I was just looking for the taxi business, right? So that Uber is well known name. The second thing is like for like right now when we expect to be live, right? Because I know we have event on 8 by like August 8, right? So what do you think like when we will be live? Like you have any like I know we all are guessing, right? So you think it will be come before with the existing models like let's suppose Model 3 also we can run as a robotaxi, right? I know it has a steering, but we can like give a option. Okay, it's not driven by a person, but it is automatically run, right? Because if we are having a bet on the robotaxi hardware itself, then at least which I feel like it is 2 years down the road, right? Minimum.
Yeah, so I think what they're going to say on the robotaxi unveil event, they're going to say, here's the vehicle, here's the application, here's how it works. We are going to go live, geofencing though, not going crazy everywhere, but geofencing in certain spots. Let's say mid 2025. Like I am expecting for them to give us a date of when they were going to start robotaxi. I am expecting this. Otherwise, I mean, showing the vehicle and just saying, go home, guys. Like, I mean, okay, cool, but, give us more like, what's the date? And Elon has mentioned this in the book that the day that they're going to release this or make a robotaxi dedicated event day is going to be a very historic day for Tesla and, for history, for just overall history. So I am expecting something juicy coming out of it, like the date. The date, once they once they announce the date of how they're going to do it, of when they're going to do it, oh my God. But it's not going to be big, right? It's probably going to be a fleet of 50 or robotaxis, maybe maximum 100. But then again, scale. Once they test it and they see, all right, we're good to go, we're nice, all right, let's expand it. Let's include another, I don't know, a couple hundred. And this will be cities, many cities. And then before you know it, it's going to be millions of vehicles just on the road over time. So that's how it's going to be, in my opinion.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense because we are expecting some like tentative or some date, right? First quarter, second quarter, right, which help us to understand, right? Last on the, not the least question, right? So I feel like even with your model, right, and with the ARC model, right, the sales numbers are going like little degrade, right? So it's like we are not seeing the when I start following Tesla, right, last year, right, and start investing also, the main I come for auto business. I think the auto business become kind of stagnant, right? So because this year also we are not seeing that much growth, right? So do you think any insight? Because I have a Tesla also, like I am an investor in Tesla, right? I see the thing is like to cost saving, right? They compromise with the quality a lot, like because it's not a cheap car. I have Model Y, it's like cost me 60K car, right? But the quality which was with the 2020 and now I compare, I see the huge difference there. And the thing is like because people are going with the EV from saving perspective, right? But because I'm in California, the registration is almost double with the other IC car. So even the saving part is going not like helping here, right? So any insight for this, like auto side, specifically auto?
Well, let me ask you this: which other auto companies are actually growing at this time?
No, it's not growing. Like I agree, the EV he's the leader only. But my point here is like because there are different aspects, right, to come to shift on the EV, right? One is the money cost, like cost saving, right? So cost wise also there is no much beneficial, right, to shifting on Tesla. The second thing is like I saw like in the quality wise also it is compromised somewhere. That's why I
Uh,
think the numbers coming down. It is one of the reason is I feel is this also.
I think the reason why the number's coming down is because nobody. Well, I know there's a lot of incentives going on in California and such, and I know there's Teslas everywhere. But I think the reason why the numbers are stagnated, well, it's not just Tesla, it's everyone else, because high interest rates. People they can't afford it, right? They can't. Elon said it the best is that interest rates really do impact. Interest rates impact the big purchases, right? Houses, cars, and anything else that's high purchases. And right now, everyone is feeling the pinch, like in Canada. Oh my God. I don't know how it is in the US, but in Canada, people are pissed because they can't get by. It's absolutely madness what's going on in Canada because no one can afford anything anymore. I know a lot of people who want to buy a Tesla, but they can't buy a Tesla because nobody has 20, 30, 40 grand laying around to buy a vehicle. Forget the leasing and forget the financing because it's too high. They can't add that. I will say this though, they are delaying it. Once interest rates do come down, when better time come. They are for sure going to be purchasing. And it's all automakers on the board that they're, not selling as many vehicles as they could. Now, you talk about the build quality and all that kind of stuff and the costing on the daily. For sure, once we have more EVs on the road, governments are easily going to increase their fees. I think it's already happening in Texas. When you're renewing your registration, I think it's gone from $70 to $270, which is crazy. So governments will do this because they got to make money, right? What they won't do, or maybe they will do, I don't know, is maybe the electricity at home. Because if you have a home and you do charge your EV at home, it's practically nothing. But this could change. I'm not too sure, but I mean, this could change because now all of a sudden you have households charging, and now people are using more electricity. That's why Tesla has the power wall and the solar roofs, all that kind of stuff to make you save and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
So
think
it's an
I
entire
do agree.
ecosystem.
correct. I actually have Tesla solar panels and 3 power walls at my house, and it's amazing. It works phenomenal for me. No more electricity bill.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a great product. I've had it for 2-3 years now. I love it. But touching base a little about the automakers and going into the high interest rate environment we're in, I think the only people, the consumer that are really buying anything are people that are having to purchase a car today. Ending in lease, you have to get into something, We're not seeing any type of consumer just saying, oh, I've had this car for a year or two, I need to get into a new car, like we did in, 2021, 22. That's being big. Also to mention, if you're looking at the OEM, Jeep, Dodge, they just did 500 people just got laid off today from their Dodge Ram pickup truck facility because they're sitting on about 160 days worth of inventory for their Dodge Ram pickup trucks, which is crazy. I think they like to keep that number between 70, 80 days. We're going to see, my prediction over the next several months is we're now going to start to see the head of this thing where the OEMs are going to start laying off because essentially nobody's buying the vehicles. For one, the vehicles are priced way too high. Number two, the rates are too high. You're going to see some massive deals coming out from the big three automakers, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I do agree. I do agree with you. Like, I think we have a good path, right? So even that's why I am kind of Ryan. Like, whenever I transfer a money in my Robinhood, I only buy Tesla. My overall portfolio is 70%. I think we'll soon reach 100% on Tesla only. So yeah. And the other stocks are not convincing at all, like at this point. So Tesla story is very convincing. Thanks, Pejjy, for giving me time.
yeah, anytime. Cyber, you had your hand up for quite some time, my man. Thanks for waiting. What you got for us?
Pejjy, I got a couple of things. Am I saying it right? It's Pejjy?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. I really love your enthusiasm. Thanks for having me. I worked at the factory down in Austin at the headquarters for a while during the Model Y ramp. And there are three things that I expect this quarter may cause your target price to be accurate this year. And they are, one, Cybertruck Foundation series coming to an end, therefore lower priced Cybertrucks being available to people who have put in reservations. Two, the release of the Robotaxi demo vehicle or software. I don't know what's going to happen on the 8th of August. That's going to be very exciting. And there's an important third there. And that is because I view the current market analysis of Tesla to value the company as an automotive company only. And the release, of course, of the future inexpensive, small, compact, whatever you want to call it, the new Tesla car will be. When that happens and demand is revealed, as it will be, as it was when Cybertruck reservations were put in, hundreds of thousands of them were put in, $100 each, and now those deposits are up to $250 each. I don't know. Who knows what the deposit amount will be on the compact Tesla, but when people understand the demand for an affordable electric autonomous compact car, they will then begin to understand the valuation of this company as an automotive company has been traditionally undervalued, at least over the past couple of years, since it was up in the $1 trillion mark. I think $1 trillion is quite accurate, close to accurate presently before these things happen. But when they happen, and hopefully this quarter, all of those things will begin to happen. Maybe next quarter, we'll start to see deliveries of the more affordable Cybertrucks, as Elon said in the meeting. But I just wanted to throw those three things out there and then compound the valuation assessment with the real notion that having seen what I've seen, and this is not insider information, everything I've seen you can see in some of the videos that are online. But this company has been putting robots to work building cars for who knows how long. And the very fact that there are autonomous Optimus bots working on the end of the line, stacking batteries in the factory right now, means to me that very soon the labor market will shift because of the things this company is doing. The entire labor market around the world, first in the United States of America, probably then China and Europe thereafter. But when that happens, a $350 price target this year is going to seem like a drop in the bucket. And I guess that's where I land my plane. Thanks for having me up, Pejjy. I'd love to go back and forth with you for a few minutes if you've got the time.
Oh, wow. Sheesh. Nice one. Wait, so what, you used to work at Tesla on what line?
So there's several lines, but I was in Final 1, Final 2, and General Assembly, which is basically when cars come down to the end of the line. If there's a part of the manufacturing process that wasn't completed or needed to be taken care of or perfected, General Assembly touches every part of the car before they are put out onto trucks and delivered. So I've done it all.
Oh, wow. So you're the real deal. Let's do it. But you're absolutely right when it comes to analysts not valuing Tesla as just an auto company. Because, well, realistically, when you look at the revenue, majority of it is coming from autos. And so analysts being analysts, they don't add things in until they already happen. But that's what the opportunity is, right? Maybe I am giving my 350 like a less than 15% chance this year. But this is Tesla stuff. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, the one thing I had in my back pocket that I sort of forgot to mention that Elon talked about during the shareholder meeting that people failed to understand is the growth in the large battery energy storage deliveries has been, I didn't quite look at the numbers in detail, but it looked like it was almost 100% growth quarter over quarter over quarter over quarter for the past couple of years. And that is because the technology Tesla is putting out into the real world is outcompeting power plants to produce electricity for the consumer. And when you start to recognize the supercharger network being adapted by all other EV manufacturers, or almost all of them, and the fact that Tesla is competing with existing power plant energy companies to become an energy provider for large populations in this country, you start to understand that the simple fact that Elon Musk is the person in our era who is a Pendergrast or a Rockefeller or a railroad man, the capacity of this company to fundamentally change the way we consume and produce electricity is unreal. People fail to grasp it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The battery storage, their energy, will definitely become one of the biggest businesses for Tesla. And you brought a good point, talking about what Elon was saying in the shareholder meeting. Another thing he did say in the shareholder meeting that I want to add to this is that we know how to value this company, which is the crazy part. Analysts, they just look at what it is and they project what it is. They're not adding the Robotaxi. Now, yeah, we're seeing Morgan Stanley adding the bot now. It's quite funny what Morgan Stanley, what they reported today, saying exactly what Musk was saying, which I kind of find funny. 99% of the entire analysts out there, they don't add any of these things in. But we, as shareholders, I in my valuation, I heavily add in the autonomy. Now, recently I did a interview with Cern Basher. Shout out to him. Phenomenal guy. He showed me exactly how the bot can change everything. And I was sitting there just speechless. I'm just like, this is just crazy. I can't even fathom this.
Yep.
That's why, and that's not even added in my valuation. I'm just like, you know what? The bot, let's wait for more information. We're getting a little bit more information now, like 20,000 per bot or something like that. But, I want to wait for more information. For Robotaxi, we are seeing it, and it's crazy what's going on with Robotaxi because every company, like a lot of companies out there are slowly, releasing it. Like today or yesterday, it was Rimac that did they released the Robotaxi, and then we have other companies releasing the Robotaxi. A year or two ago, if somebody told you that, hey, in 2 years' time, you're going to see companies releasing Robotaxis, nobody would have believed you. And now we're seeing it right in front of our eyes that, holy gee, this thing is just 2 seats and a screen, and this thing's supposed to take you places. So it's crazy how fast things are changing. And these analysts are not even adding it in, which is the awesome part. The opportunity is right. It's crazy.
It's such a big opportunity. My son and I were just talking about this, because he's got a significant investment, a few hundred shares. And he's a young man, but he's got concerns, and he wants to know whether or not it's a good idea to buy because it's up from the low. So it's around 120 a share or something like that. And I'm like, the rule is buy low, sell high. And high was $1 trillion valuation. And we're not even, we're just a little bit past half of that right now. This is the opportunity of the millennia, if you want my honest opinion. What I really wanted to get at was, what are your key turning points? What do you think are the catalysts for getting to that 15% chance of you hitting your target this year? What are the 3 biggest points for you that get Tesla?
Oh, that's an easy one. Number 1, interest rates. Once interest rates start to drop, and I am predicting only one interest rate drop second half of the year. This inflation has been very sticky since July of 2023. It's been ranging between 3%. And these Fed guys don't want to do anything until we reach the 2%. And I am optimistic that this thing will drop, below 3%, hopefully. But you never know what could happen. But interest rates, for sure, if that starts dropping, then you'll see, again, these analysts will increase their stock prices like they are now, which is quite funny because now they're increasing stock prices right after the vote, which has nothing to do with the actual fundamentals of Tesla. It's funny. But for me, number 1 is interest rates. Number 2 is seeing some numbers from Tesla themselves, how their full self-driving is coming along. And number 3, I would say, I had a whole list too. I'm just taking the top 3 right now.
Let me throw this in there. Because I saw firsthand the Model Y ramp and how difficult it was and how long it took. We all saw, every once in a while, Tesla would announce how many vehicles a week they were producing back then. And I saw us go from numbers around 500 a week to 1,000 a week to more than that. The ramp of Cybertruck, and I haven't even taken down a pen to a paper and a calendar and compared the 2 ramps. But the numbers that Tesla is reaching now in Cybertruck ramp it seems shockingly fast to me compared to Y, compared to 3. And part of that is the paint. There's no paint process. And that's several cycles through several stations in a long portion of the factory. A huge part of the property was taken up by paint process. It doesn't exist for Cybertruck. So I'm hopeful that Cybertruck ramp is really something that becomes a shocking catalyst to the market, because this is something the world has never seen before. Not since the DeLorean has anyone put out en masse a factory-produced vehicle that doesn't require paint. And that process elimination is going to be huge for the ramp, and I wonder if that's partly why they're doing it so quickly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm still amazed as well that the Cybertruck has, the last time I think Elon was mentioning in Q1 earnings that they're making 200 a day or something, or it was a recent article that they're producing 200 a day.
Right, yeah, 1,000 a week.
Yeah, which is crazy. I'm just like, whoa, you're making this thing. I'm getting more convinced that now Cybertruck is no longer a cash burner for Tesla. Maybe we're nearing the end of it now. We'll see. We'll find out soon in Q2 in the earnings call. But yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. And the Cybercab, that's also going to be like a Cybertruck built with all stainless steel.
Yeah, I just put out a tweet a couple of days ago where I put together I called it Salty Tesla's quarterly delivery spreadsheet. But one of the things I noticed in going over the press releases from Tesla is that they've started calling the categories different things over the course of time. Like, for instance, in Q4 of 2023, the 3Y S and X production, began being listed as 3Y and quote-unquote other models. And that was probably because there was some Cybertruck production and deliveries that were soon to begin. They did similar things back when Model 3 and Model Y were being produced. And I can share a link to that article, to my new spreadsheet. If you like, you can go back through there yourself and see how they have traditionally changed, how they categorize their numbers. And so there'll be, I think during this period, this is just my estimation, I don't really know. I have no inside information on it whatsoever. But from my analysis of the previous ways that they've handled it, for instance, when they started building the Model X, you don't get those numbers initially included individually. You get them grouped in. X and S were together in a release, so 3 and Y were together in a release. And sometimes we don't get to know exactly how many of each model is getting produced, but that's partly because it's an indistinguishable small amount of vehicles and you don't know yet. It's not really important as far as the bottom line is concerned. An interesting thing to consider nonetheless.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Thanks for sharing, Mike. I'll definitely check it out. What you have what you posted. That's pretty interesting.
So, Pejjy, I'll post the link here in the room so that you can look at that article or that spreadsheet. And anyone who wants to can check out, just follow my account. I started putting out 3 weeks ago a weekly summary of Tesla Weekly News. And you can check out that there as well on my.
Yeah, nice. Do it. That's helpful. Nice one. I do think there's more upside now than downside. Yeah, that's the only thing I can say. The short-term prices movements, I don't really count on it. Otherwise, I would have been a trillionaire. I just look at the long-term and just dollar cost average in, and that's it. That's it. I will say this though: once it goes above 200, I will stop or not stop. Just buy less of Tesla. I'll say that. Anything below 200, whenever I get a chance, I'll buy. But anything above 200, I'm not in a rush to buy. That's the best thing. That's what I can say.
So have you reached 1,000 mark, like 1,000 shares? Or,
I am very close. I think I got like another 20, 30 to go to hit 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, same. Yeah, I think I am in the same boat. Like for me, the average is almost 200 because last year only after I start watching your channel, right? I start putting money. So for me also my 1,000 mark is coming closer. And yeah, this time I'm not doing much in options. So do you have think it's going in the option is good or just hardcore stock is good?
Well, I've never done options before, and so I just stick to buying and hold. I would love to do options, but I'm not too educated on how to do it, and it is stressful because I do run businesses. And it's just, I can't sit behind a computer and just see what's going on. I prefer to buy and hold and come back to it or come back to it by end decade or whenever it just goes up like crazy when the market realizes.
That's what I do. You and I are in the same long-term buying holding pattern. There is a guy on the Tesla community. Maybe you've heard of him. He's at R6Alex on X, and he buys and sells on the margins all the time. And so if you want to know how to analyze when to buy and sell puts and calls and all that, I highly recommend checking out R6 Alex. At R6 Alex, we call him the Froyo, Judge Froyo. He's got a Menchie's franchise out in California. I've met with him a few times in real life. He's a really swell guy, and he knows if you've got, and you can't do that unless you've got a lot of money invested in a stock and you've got the right particular kind of account to buy and sell, puts and calls and all that. But once you do, talk to R6 Alex. He knows he's making money. And in fact, he sold his whole house and started renting a property for his family instead of paying a mortgage, so that he could put more stock into Tesla over the past year or two. So he's doing very well at it. So I highly recommend checking him out.
Yeah, thanks. I will take it.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Sure. I'll take a look to see what he's doing. But with margins, man, oh my God, that sounds pretty stressful to me.
I'm risk averse to that. I can't do it.
Yeah, so I have one suggestion, like rather than suggestion, it's just a request, right? The way we are, like you are doing the good work for Tesla, right? Just target one or two more stocks, so that it's kind of 5-10% hedge for us also, like going with the other stock, right? Or then it will help. Like, for example, Palantir, right? I think then that is, I feel, the best candidate for us, right? So the detailed videos you are making for the Tesla, right? If you just pick up any stock based on your flexibility, that will be great for us, for like especially kind of new investors like me.
Yeah, so right now my focus is Tesla. Because I do heavy research on that company, I would say on a weekly basis, sometimes every day, whether it's just semis, for example, semis, the truck, whether it's just Robotaxis the other day, whether it's just energy the other day, maybe now it's the bot that how CERN was talking to me, explaining to me. You can't avoid the bot now. You just can't avoid it. This company is so many other companies within this one company. It's just ridiculous. So that's why it takes a lot of my time. Looking at other companies, I would only do that when I'm interested in investing in those other companies. I have done some research on Palantir. I still don't fully 100% understand it, like how I do with Tesla. The way how it's going, it looks like Palantir could be another sleeper, as how Tommy mentioned earlier. I would also say Chipotle is also a really good one. That's my, this is all my opinion, right? Chipotle is a really good one. They just entered their growth phase. Phenomenal company. I'm in Kuwait right now. They opened one branch here in the massive mall here. And I'm just like, oh, nice. So, and there's other companies coming up. I would say Amazon is also a really good one. I wouldn't want to bet against Amazon. I think Amazon will take, again, my prediction, Amazon will take over, because right now the world's most valuable company is Nvidia. I think Amazon will overtake that in a few years' time. Just crazy company, and they already have 750,000 robots working in their factories, and they have the highest revenue in all of, I would say, in the world. They have $600 billion in revenue coming this year, or 625 billion, which beats all other companies. Yes, their margins are low, but that's because they keep reinvesting back in the company. Now, if they just relieve 1% of their reinvestment and they don't do that, you know how much profits that is? That's like $25 billion just slapped on in the net income. That drags up the EPS massively, and that's the reason why the PE is so high for Amazon. Like they're 50 at a 2 trillion market cap, which is crazy. But that's why Amazon is one of those big companies that I think people are saying they're not going to thrive by end decade. I think that's a big mistake. I think there's probably a company that could probably go over 5 trillion by end of this decade. I know that sounds crazy, but if you look at the numbers, it's just crazy what these guys are doing. Other than that, I haven't looked at any other stocks, and I know there are, but my focus right now is Tesla. That's what I got to say about that. All right, Luke, you can go ahead and speak.
Not much, just heard you talking about some other stock. I'm currently invested into Tesla pretty much, but just on the talks of some other talks that people might be missing out on. Monster Energy has been one of the best performing stocks of all times, and it's just something that people kind of don't talk about a lot. Also with Chipotle, didn't they just do a 50-1 stock split? So they're definitely, doing something right. Can definitely see them growing pretty big in the future. And with what you said on Amazon, I agree as well. I think with the robot technology coming, they're pretty fast with adapting and growing their warehouses with robots, and I think that's really going to show up in the bottom lines over the coming years, and I think they definitely could be the biggest company following Tesla.
Yeah, absolutely. Monster Energy, yeah, that I think that took everyone by surprise. That thing went up like crazy. The returns on that company was insane. Same with Celsius too. That thing took off like that thing was crazy as well. But yeah, there are better Well, no, I don't want to say better opportunities, but there are other opportunities in the market. You just got to look for them and sit down and do the research. Right now, for me, it's just mainly Tesla.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. I spend most of my time just listening and researching Tesla. I think just long term, they're just probably the best risk adjusted company in the world. Like, no one has what they have going on, in my opinion. AI, cars, everything else that they do, they're pretty much the best class in what they do.
Facts. Absolutely facts.